Exactly, because we know that the coming of Christ was even announced in the book of Isaiah
Exactly.
or so.
But we'll get into it with the understanding of the various.
Now, Father, talking about the Old Testament first, what's it all about, the Old Testament?
When you try to go through the Bible, be it the Good News or
The
the
New
New Jerusalem
Jerusalem.
Bible, realize that we have 39 books, you know. And besides these 39 books, there's always that other block of books they call the deuterocanonical books. Now, inside the 39 books of the Old Testament, we have the first 5 books known as the Pentateuch, that is to say, the books of the law, the Torah. And after these first 5 books, which are the Pentateuch, we have now the book of the prophets. And inside the prophets, we have the major prophets and the minor prophets. After this division or this subdivision of the major prophets and the minor prophets, we now have the holy writings. And inside these holy writings, we have what is commonly known as the wise books. The book of wisdom, Solomon, this Job, the books that permit us to understand, the Greek literature in terms of wisdom and saints. And now, after these ones, you now have the last category or the last subtitle, which is known as the deuterocanonical books. And inside these deuterocanonical books, we call them so because they are the second category of books recognized as inspired by God. We, Christians, recognize it. Others don't. That is to say, you will not find the King James Version. These are books or parts of the books of the Old Testament that are found in the Greek Septuagint, that is to say, the 70 books, but not in the Hebrew text. The Hebrew text did not integrate these books of the Greek literature. Because remember, the Hebrew and then the Septuagint, that is to say, the Greek translation of the Hebrew version, after translating that, they now presented to us some other books that talks about the Greek literature. And these books were understood as inspired because they pass across a particular message. And still in these books, they are accepted as scriptures by we, the Catholic faith today, by the Roman Catholic Church, and even the Orthodox communions, because behind them there is that message of God to save mankind. And equally, they now call them deuterocanonical because they are the secondary, the second category of books recognized as inspired by God. Canonically, that is to say, according to the laws of the Roman Catholic Church. And these books are 7. With time, with the subsequent divisions, we shall go to the
the
details.
details of
Yeah,
those
of those.
different books of the Old Testament.
Yeah.
And
Now you realize that inside the Old Testament, first thing is that it prepared the alliance of God and man. That relationship between God and man. God speaking to man through his people. The relationship between God and man. That is all found in that first part, that is the Old Testament. God being the only God talking to his people. And that God spoke to them in various ways. The easiest way is that God spoke to his people through Moses when he came to the mountain. The meeting point of God was still that spirit in which God encountered his people on the tallest place. And then God came in words and spoke. It equally shows us how the people were allowed, or how the people had to live to caution their behavior, to orientate their living such a way that God remains the only God and the people look up to him as the only God. Inside the Old Testament. And lastly, it was equally a book, a relationship that prepared the coming of Jesus Christ. Remember very well, when we get into the details, that the book of Genesis Adam and Eve, they betrayed God's love. They disobeyed God. And so God said he's going to punish them. And now, on punishing them, God realized that, in fact, God to the engagement, the resolution that he's no more going to punish them. Because, let me just put a small bracket. The relationship with that first part is such in the Old Testament, such a way that the people of God, with Adam and Eve, God gave them everything. Or better still, with the creation, God created there was a total disorder. And so God said, let there be light. Such a way that today, the more we respect the beauty of creation, the more we give everybody his own space. The more we respect each person. That is to say, the moment I respect day, remain day, night, remain light, sun, shine during the day, moon, shine during the night, water, this is your own space. The moment I respect all these separations done by God through the creation, the more there is harmony. Therefore, the harmony we find at the creation is no more the harmony of that everybody is living together, but the harmony that everybody is respecting his space. Everybody is respecting his space. God being God and man being man. That explains why the very moment man decided to disobey God, because the serpent said, if you eat it, you'll be like him.
You'll be wise like him.
That is why that love was now betrayed. And so man had to now bear the consequences, amongst which he had to work so as to feed himself. And the woman had to cry at child labor, through delivery. She had to cry. These are the consequences, because man at a certain point decided or was tempted, and then he accepted, he let himself be tempted, that he wanted to be like God. Now that spirit shows that God being God, remaining God, but man on his own part wanted to be like God. And so it did not work. Now that anger of God, he says, now I am not going to punish you again, because with time, man had to find himself inside disobedience. And God had to destroy through the famous, the floods, through the famous experiences of killing, through all the experience that we now have, that we'll get into the details of God recreating the world. And in recreating that world, he now said, henceforth with Noah, that I am no more going to destroy the world again. Consequently, that resolution not to destroy the world again with Noah was God's intention, that I am going to send somebody for that particular person to accompany you. Now we now shift from the first 5 books, where we now had God's law, and the spirit behind God's law was nothing else but God's love.
Okay.